Greetings everybody, this is Winnie Wriggle and welcome back to our Direwolf20's 1.19 modpack Let's Play. It's been quite a while since I've seen your friendly faces. Let's talk about all the things that have changed. Probably the first and most obvious is that in planning for putting railroad tracks around our base, I need them to go through this great tunnel underneath our iron farm. Otherwise, why did I build the tunnel under the iron farm? So we have moved the water wheel from Immersive Engineering. I've also done a very cool thing, and that is integrate the create fluid pipes and water pumps into this so that our water is actually being pumped up over the wheel to make it spin. We have a water wheel down here. The fluid pipes here, of course, and right on top of what amounts to infinite water supplies are a couple of mechanical pumps from Create. And that water wheel under there is driving those to pump the water up and over the wheel to provide power to our base. I think it looks really good. Because I moved our water wheel, I also had to adjust where our power lines were, and I moved a couple of the Immersive Engineering machines over here into their own structure. I also used some of the items from Engineer's Decor, these adorable little mesh fences and gates, as if for some reason the machines are too dangerous to leave just open. And then these are the metal girders from the Create mod. I love this block. It has also been quite a while since we have done an episode, and there are a couple of reasons for that. One, I went on an extended vacation with my family, and while on that vacation, I became very ill. Like, hospitalized ill for quite an extended period of time. I am all better now, completely recovered, 100%. It was not a permanent condition, I just fell ill with a pretty serious case of pneumonia, which is not fun. I don't recommend it at all. The good news is it was not COVID or any other weird respiratory virus that's going around right now, just a good old-fashioned case of pneumonia that took about 6 weeks to recover from. But I am back in action. I did have footage from right before vacation, and I was going to use that because it covers some of the builds that you see here, but I thought it might be easier just to start fresh and kind of talk you through a couple of the things that I've done. The first of which is actually not over there in the Create area, but is a Create contraption, and that's our tree farm, our automated tree farm to be exact. So it's on a mechanical bearing. They are linear chassis attached to barrels and saws with deployers set to only deploy oak saplings. It's powered by a simple water wheel underneath. And then, of course, there are portable storage interfaces on the ends for it to drop off the items that we want it to drop off, and a filter to make sure the only thing it's dropping off are the sticks, the apples, the acorns, and the wood. Part of the reason I used barrels in the construction is so that they could be used for storage, and they are chock full of saplings. I also needed some way to kind of stick the saws out away from the main machine so it could reach under trees in order to cut down their trunks, and so the barrels served a great double purpose as well. But it works pretty great. The cobblestone is here because the saws cannot cut saplings that are right here next to the central mechanism. So it's just to prevent it from planting trees that grow up and stop it from working. I don't think we're going to be running out of wood anytime soon. Now that all that's been said, let me catch you up with where we are in terms of our Create automation. I believe the last time we were together, we had completed our sheet automation, our brass ingot automation. Over here, we have a way to strip logs and then apply andesite casing or any other alloy in order to make our copper casings, brass casings, and andesite casings. And then the next thing I did was create a precision mechanism automation. And I'm actually going to show a clip of making this because I think it's important to understand how this particular machine works, because we're going to use this same principle in the future. And here is the first part of our contraption for automating precision mechanisms. So precision mechanisms are a little bit complicated. We have to use deployers to deploy a cogwheel, a large cogwheel, and an iron nugget on top of a golden sheet. And You have to repeat that process 5 times in order to get a precision mechanism. It's not a guaranteed craft, although you may also get a random salvage. So we have to account for all of that repetition in process, and the fact that we might get something weird as a result in our whole system. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start with our golden sheets over on the left, and they're going to travel across the conveyor belt. And we are going to make use of one of my favorite items in Create, and that is the item vault. So this is a storage system that holds many items of any kind, and it is only accessible through the inputs and outputs of Create or Minecraft, like hoppers or chutes or funnels. And one of the great things about it is it's accessible from any side. So we're going to use it to actually do part of our repetition processing. Our unfinished precision mechanisms are going to come out of this side. We see this arrow, and if they're not finished yet, they're going to go back in to there to be processed again. Only once they're finished are we going to let them come into this andesite funnel and into this barrel. And because we won't have any kind of filter on here, this will pick up both our precision mechanisms as well as any of the bonus scrap items we get. Okay, so that was our precision mechanism making. I have also created a way to automate mud. So to make mud, you just have to combine dirt with water in a basin. So we're using a pump and fluid pipe to put water in the basin, and then I'm using an andesite funnel to provide it with dirt from the barrel, and I don't have any dirt on me, but if dirt goes in there, it combines with water and we get mud. Because a lot of our flooring here for my former industrial building now collapsed kind of idea, we have mud bricks, brown bricks, Minecraft bricks, and the brown mushroom block, and packed mud. So the packed mud, you combine wheat with mud, and then the mud bricks are just a variation of that packed mud. The brown bricks are just a combination of a regular Minecraft brick and terracotta. Then the next machine we had to build was a crafter. This is a 5x5 mechanical crafter setup. In order to craft anything, you just manually place the items. So we'll do an example. If I were making a stone pickaxe, if you don't fill all of the crafter spaces, you just have to apply a redstone signal to make it work. And as long as it's got kinetic energy, it will produce the item, bloop, and there's our stone pickaxe. We had to do that in order to make our crushing wheels. So it was just a bunch of andesite surrounding 4 pieces of wood and any piece of stone in the middle. And now we have a giant mechanical crafter we can use. That is also being powered by the windmill. Let me show you where that's happening. Here underground, the windmill is providing power over here to our crafter and also over here to the actual pair of grinding wheels. And that has kind of maxed out the windmill's potential power. I believe if we put a gauge on here, it says out of the 5,000 stress units that windmill's producing, we only have 360 left. And all of these machines, of course, are barely scratching the surface of what we need to automate in order to get to rails. I also need a little bit more room in order to do that. So I'm going to lay out a few of the bricks. Thought I would do this on camera since you didn't get to see the construction of the other pieces that are like this. In the main area, focusing on the red and brown bricks so that it looks like, you know, the main pathways were brick. And then as we get to the edges, I move to the mud bricks. And the very edges, just the packed mud, and then even a few actual mud on the very ends, as if the building is in various states of decay because of weather and all that other stuff. But now we have more room to add a couple more machines. So let's take a look at where we are in the path to having trains. The train tracks, we will need to take any kind of stone slab and apply either a zinc or an iron nugget and then stamp it, and we'll get a train track. In order to do that, we're going to have a little bit more power, and right now our windmill is slightly insufficient for that. So I'm going to go make a few more sails for our windmill and see if we can get that power cranked up just enough to make our train track automation assembly. Welcome back. We have adjusted our windmill by doubling the number of sails. And as you can see, it's going much faster and producing quite a bit more power. You might also notice that our network stress has gone from high to low. And let me show you what I did. I realized that because the windmill is now spinning faster itself, I did not need to speed it up very much when it comes to running the crafter. So I replaced all the large and small cogwheels that make its speed increase with just a straight up belt. I mean, I'm sure it's not the most efficient way to do this, but it works. I also took away one of the other speed increase step ups for the grinders. You might also notice that I now have stress power running over to another part of our industrial area. And that's where we are going to build a rail making machine together, I hope. So here we go. So we're going to need a conveyor belt that lets us do 3 steps. So we have to have 3 empty blocks in between it. And for right now, I'm actually going to stop the power by removing that chain drive so we can build this in a static environment first. So here's our mechanical belt. And then we want to put items on here and pull them off. So I'm going to put a placeholder in the barrel. That's where our chain drive is going to go. And then over here, do the same thing, another barrel. And then we're going to use some andesite funnels to put items on the belt and then collect items from the belt. And in this case, I'm going to use my wrench to change the direction of that arrow on that andesite funnel. And then the 3 things we need to do, we're going to have 2 deployers and 1 mechanical press. And I think if we stand up here above them, our deployers will go down. I want my crankshafts to go front to back so I can power them from behind. And the same is true for the press. So we're going to apply an iron nugget, and then stamp it. And if we do that to a slab, and in this case we're going to do andesite slabs, that should give us a rail. Now, the other thing I need to do is make sure I can provide these with the iron nuggets that they need, just these first 2. And we're going to stick a barrel on top of those. And then I'll fill those with iron nuggets. The other thing I want to do is automate the process of turning andesite blocks into andesite slabs. So we're going to build something similar to what we build for stripping the logs, which will require 2 little belts, another barrel so that we can supply our machine with items automatically. And this one will be really easy. We're just going to stick a bunch of andesite in here and make sure our arrow points towards the belt. And then we'll put another one over here to pick things up. We have to do a couple of things. We have to put an andesite slab on our sawmill to make sure it knows that's the thing we want to create. And I think I have a couple in here because I was doing tests earlier. Now the next thing we have to do is figure out how to power all of this with the stress units that are coming from downstairs. And we need to power the stamper, the 2 deployers, this conveyor belt, this conveyor belt, this conveyor belt, and the saw. And the only complicated thing about this is that the saw needs to go in a different direction. Its spin needs to go in the opposite direction than those 2 conveyor belts. And I believe we can do that by putting 3 gear shifts in a row. And the middle gear shift is guaranteed to go in a different direction than the other 2 that are facing it. So as long as we can get the direction coming into this the right way, we ought to be okay. I want to use an encased chain drive to power this conveyor belt and make sure we're going the correct direction. Yes, left to right. Very good, very good. Now we need to transfer power from this thing up to our 3 arms, the 2 arms and the stamper. So I'm going to use, I think I'm going to use a gearbox to do that. And then an encased chain drive for all 3 of those. And then if we use a vertical gearbox, can we take that up there? Yes. Our 2 deployers and our stamper have stress coming to them. Now I need to make our conveyor belt and the mechanical saw work. Now we already have, what direction? If I put this here, what direction do you go? That's the correct direction. That's excellent. So what direction do you go if I hook you up? That is a good direction. And that is a good direction. So our saw is spinning in the opposite direction of our conveyor belts. That's just a quirk of the saw, in my understanding. So now if I put 1 andesite in here, it should go through the saw and turn into slabs. And it's waiting on a process. So if I put some ingots in those 2 and we get a stamp. Aha! We're getting train tracks. That's very exciting. Yay, train tracks. Oh, so we have automated train tracks all the way from an andesite block. I thought about doing a create-based cobble gen to generate cobble and then using an encased fan in front of lava to turn it back into stone and then turn those into slabs. But I have a couple of thousand andesite right now. I might do this in the future. It depends on how many rails we need. I think we're going to need quite a few. And they are literally, they are 1 block for each rail. Oh, don't they look pretty? That's going to be so cool. Okay, if we stick, I think I have a bunch of andesite in here. If we stick a bunch of plain andesite in, there it goes. Let me take my goggles off. So we're getting slabs, and as long as we have iron nuggets, there come the train tracks. Okay, and we have a working iron farm, for those of you who may have forgotten. So iron is no problem at all for us. And I think that is a great place to stop for today. We have caught up on where we are in terms of our automation in our mission to get rails running around the base from the Create mod, and have gotten all the way to the part where we are automatically producing rails for our trains. And the next episode, we'll finish this up and make our train casings so we can actually put trains on our train tracks and run them around the base. I'm very excited to get to that part. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the episode, please leave a like. It helps me out and I really appreciate it. In the meantime, remember, you are the shiny stuff that awesome is made of. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.